and welcome back to the channel. I'm Susan.
I'm Tab.
And we are MCU Explained, and today we are going to be talking about the WandaVision finale.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. So warning, I have a feeling that while we're talking about this, Susan is probably going to cry a few times.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. I'm absolutely going to cry a few times. And you guys have to just remember that I cry about things, and you have to not worry about making me cry, because I someone in the chat during our live show, which by the way, thank you guys for tuning in to our very first live. We had so much fun and we went for 2 hours. That was incredible. But someone in the live, I guess, felt bad that he made me cry. I cry, so it's okay. I'm not like upset at you. I just get emotional over my fictional characters. It happens. So
Yeah, it happens.
it just happens. It's a thing. And yes, this does have spoilers for the WandaVision finale. So if you have not watched, if you're like the one person who hasn't watched yet, check that out on Disney Plus and then come back to the channel and hear what we have to say about it. So
Yes.
first, I think I want to address really quickly, a lot of people were upset about the finale. And there was that great article that went around that was really well written about like how WandaVision, I'm upset about all the things WandaVision never promised me, or all the promises. Yeah, that was such a great article, so well written. But at the same time, I feel like there are like the point there is that we weren't promised anything. And yes, we are a channel that loves to tell you about the inspirations for these MCU shows, like where they're the source material, where the comics are, which comics they're using. And while personally I would have loved to see a Doctor Strange cameo, I mentioned it in about every episode of the show. Am I upset that there wasn't one? No, because I loved what they showed us. That's way more important than the thing that I want, because it doesn't belong to me.
Yeah. 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 I love talking about like finding things and little like nods to the comics and speculating on a bunch of stuff, which a lot of the stuff we speculated on did end up happening or being right over the course of the show, and a lot of it didn't, and that's fine too. I hope that some of you were excited to hear about some of the characters we talked about and went out and was like, I'm going to read about Nightmare or what's going on with Arcana.
Yeah, I mean, that to me is way more fun, because like, hey, so let's say you got super excited about Nightmare because we talked about him extensively, and you went out and like researched and bought a bunch of Nightmare comics. Hey, guess what? If and when he does show up in the MCU, now you know a bunch about Nightmare and you can get way excited to see that character on the big screen.
Yeah,
It's a
awesome.
win-win. No matter what, you win, we win, Marvel wins.
And the other thing people were upset about was that not everything got answered per se.
Mhm.
And that's true, but Marvel's never done that. They had their last storytelling adventure took 10 years to tie everything together, and they still didn't answer everything because the Doctor Strange and credit scene, we haven't gone back to that yet. We don't know what's going on with Baron Mordo.
Yeah, there's several characters that, like, also at the end of Civil War, we didn't know what happened to Zemo for years, and now we're finally going to find out in 2 weeks during the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So you guys just have to remember, this is a slow burn. This isn't going to be something that like all of a sudden, it's not a regular TV show. It's part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So it's going to take a while to resolve itself, and hopefully in 10 years you'll know the answer. We waited our whole lives plus 10 years to hear Cap say Avengers Assemble on the big screen, so we can wait a little bit longer to wrap up some of these storylines.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, gosh, and even think about it now, Adam in the Guardians.
Yeah, we still don't know who's playing Adam Warlock.
We don't know who's playing Adam Warlock. We don't know what's going to happen with him, how he's going to fit into the bigger story, because I assume he's coming in this phase. Their movie is in this phase.
For sure. And then it's stuff like, I still really want to know why Ego the Living Planet was killed. Oh, good. Cat cameo. What up, Smokey?
And
Um, But yeah, because you can't kill ego, and yet,
And yet,
so just a couple of things there. But yeah, just remember that these characters don't belong to us. They don't belong to anybody. We're just here for the magical ride that the MCU is taking us on, and I'm here for it. And like I said, and Tab pointed out too, a lot of our theories happened, a lot of them didn't. And I'm really excited for what they set up, and I loved the finale that they did give us.
yeah.
So let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it. Okay, so since this is the finale and it was a heavy portion of the episode was fight scenes and stuff that there's not really a lot to dissect, one vision punching the other vision.
Yeah.
We won't go through it like we normally do beat by beat. I actually have it divided in kind of by character slash fighting. Like, so the first one, Agatha versus Wanda. Agatha finally says, we know her motivation. She wants Wanda's powers. That's her whole thing, taking powers from the undeserving.
Boo, undeserving. My
I loved how her fingers were black. Like that's a fun witch thing that only comes up sometimes, like in other witch stuff.
Yeah.
I always like it. Yeah.
Yeah, I liked that too. And then I also really liked the like when she took Wanda's powers, how Wanda's hand would go black.
Yeah. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
Wanda hit her with a car, which is Wanda's special move. And we got that ridiculous, but I loved it. Wizard of Oz. The boots.
Yeah. Oh, I love that too. I was like like I did the dumb laugh, like the like
Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
Bitches.
Yeah.
So through the course of their fighting, so over the entire episode, Agatha tells her that Wanda's in the Darkhold, answering for us what book she had. It's the Darkhold. And
something we were right about.
We were right about that.
We gave that as one of the options. It was not the only option, but we did give that as one of the options.
We did. And technically, the other option that we gave was the Necronomicon, which is from part of the Darkhold that got separated. Yeah. So, so we know that, and then there's a whole chapter about Wanda in the Darkhold, which is also true in the comics. Wanda, basically what happens where Agatha shows her the book and she reads about herself is comic canon. That's how she finds out about herself there too. So Agatha shows Wanda that she's been torturing everyone. We find out that pretty much every side character that acted suspicious was a red herring. Dottie was a red herring. Herb was a red herring. They're just people.
That's actually the one thing I was kind of bummed about is the red herrings of the I almost called them the village people, but like the residents of Westview. Because I love Emma Caulfield so much that I'm like, really, you were just Dottie? You know, like, but that's fun. You know, we as Buffy fans, that's kind of great that we like looked into that more and thought XYZ character Arcana or Clea or Lore. But and then Herb, like Tab and I one night were like just texting back and forth at the idea that he could be Frankenstein because Frankenstein is technically a Marvel comic and that was what his Halloween costume was, and like just exploring what that could mean in the show. And so again, I think that that's also the fun part of watching this, right? Like the being able to do that, the fact that we were both like, oh my God, Frankenstein is a Marvel character. I actually didn't know that before I like tried to Google it and then was like, oh my God, there's like a whole series of Frankenstein books that Marvel Comics did. What? And then both of us were like, how are they going to work that into the licensing? And like,
so, Universal has those rights, I believe.
So that's part of the fun of all this. Like, yes, they were all red herrings. Yes, I was a little bummed about, but how much fun did we have trying to figure out who they might be?
Really? And Clea will show up at some point.
Clea's going to show up. She's
Yeah.
Doctor Strange's wife. She's
Yeah.
going to show up.
She
Just
there was
means they have more time for like me to get super famous, and so I could be Clea.
oh, perfect.
I don't look a thing like her in the comics. Actually, Tab would be a better cast for Clea, to be honest.
No.
But she doesn't want to be Clea. She's holding out for Kitty Pryde.
Yeah, I will play Kitty Pryde. Thank you. So then, also while they're fighting, we get a lovely, lovely callback to Wanda's creepy Age of Ultron trick where she does the full horror sneak up on you, put the nightmare in your head.
I love that.
Love that.
I love that. That I missed that trick, to be honest. Like I didn't realize that I like missed it. Like missed it as in I miss you.
Oh,
Not
yeah.
like I didn't see it, because that would be a ridiculous thing to miss. But I was like, oh right. Oh, I miss that she can do that. What I hope she does that more, like moving forward.
It's interesting as a power because it is kind of villainy.
Mm-hmm.
It's
But
more
see,
of a villain power.
that's also why I always liked Scarlet Witch in the comics, is because she does walk the line, and she has been a villain. She's been a very big villain in Marvel Comics, as well as a very like big hero. So I enjoy seeing those touches in the MCU, because for the majority of the time she spent in the MCU, she has been a hero. So it's nice to remember that, like, oh right, she was introduced as a side villain in Age of Ultron, and it is possible for her to be one again.
Possible.
He has those tendencies.
Oh yeah, and then Agatha turns it on her. Although at any given moment in their fight, I'm really not sure who's doing what or allowing what.
Yeah, it's almost like that was one of my favorite parts about their fight, was the fact that I'm just like, is she allowing this to happen? Is she letting Wanda? Is Wanda letting her? Like what is actually going on in this fight? And that was a lot of fun to watch, because
Yeah.
like who is the aggressor, who is the defender, like, and they both were just like kind of messing with each other, as opposed to like it being a fight to take either one of them down. It was almost as much of a mind game as it was a physical altercation.
Yeah. I loved that when they were in the nightmare world is the first time when you see the Scarlet Witch crown start to show up. That was very cool, and it looked like the lacy one.
Yeah, it did. It looked like the lacy one from that run back in what, like 2016, 2015, somewhere around there. Yeah, I enjoyed that run as much as a lot of people did not, but I thought it was a fun Scarlet Witch run for a solo title for her.
So then we have Vision versus Vision.
It was like I keep disappearing into the background with my sword. Oh, I keep disappearing. Kind of, we're not there yet, but kind of like Monica. Anyway, that just made me happy. Anyway, so the Vision versus Vision was like first it was super physical.
Yes.
Just punching and flying and phasing and punching, and like then it just like got super intellectual, which is so Vision. I can't even stand it. It's like those are like the two sides to him, essentially.
Yeah, the only really way you can be any kind of robot is with a logic puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how he got it, how he got himself the logic puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
I hated / liked that when White Vision first showed up, he tried to crush Wanda's head.
I was like so upset by that, because I was like, oh, stop it.
It's horrible.
But I was also just like Wanda went straight up to him, to me, just like proving that she trusts any sort of Vision version of Vision to just be a safe place for her, which is again a testament to the relationship they've built between the two of them throughout this storyline, where it's just like it doesn't need to necessarily look exactly the same as Vision. Like, she loves Vision for like being that safe space that she could always go to feel okay. So that was a little bit heartbreaking when he just starts like right after she like willingly walks over to him.
Yeah. Classic robot head crushing scene.
Yeah, classic robot head crushing scene.
So the lovely logic puzzle that now has been memed to bits works.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, original Vision backed up his memory files because new Vision is able to restore his memories and his eyes become human again, which I thought was interesting.
Well,
And
I mean, to me, that made a lot of sense because, like, if eyes are the window to the soul, if we're going to get all poetic, and yes, I know that like a synthezoid wouldn't have like a soul per se, but if your memories are also parts of your soul, restoring the memories would restore the window to all that you are.
yeah.
It was very metaphorical for like, it was a metaphorical ending to a highly logical puzzle, and I loved that about that scene so much.
And then White Vision just leaves. He says he's the Vision. He flies out the window in the ceiling, gone.
Mhm.
I believe this is one of the things people were like, wait, we don't get to find out what happens to him? Guys, come on.
Also, do we not remember that like Banner and Thor were just missing at some point? Like, to the point where they actually brought that up to make fun of themselves in Civil War, where like he said, the secretary says like, tell me, do you know where Banner and Thor are right now? Because if I lost 2 nukes, I would have to answer for it. Like, sometimes we just don't know where characters are.
Sometimes they're gone for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he went to do something, and we'll see him at some point later. I could not predict where
Yeah.
he would show up next.
The one slight prediction I do have is if Wanda makes the heel turn during Multiverse of Madness, we might see him show up because he does remember everything about Wanda and their relationship now.
That's true.
So, and we've seen her just willingly go to him before. The counterpoint to that is that she never saw him turn good.
Also true.
So she might not trust the version of him that tried to crush her head.
Maybe not. And I think this is a question someone sent us, but I'll just go ahead and say it does seem like they have really stuck to how White Vision is in the comics, because now he is control chip, but it's broken.
Mm-hmm.
He has all his memories, but none of the emotion that goes with them. So if you were wondering why didn't he go help in the fight, why doesn't he go to Wanda and help her now if he's back to normal? He's not back to normal.
Because one of the things about Vision in the MCU that Bruce Banner talks about in Infinity War is that there's all these different layers to the Vision that were created because he has a different origin story in the MCU. And that's the fact that Jarvis is in there, Tony is in there, Bruce is in there, and they're all working together with the Mind Stone and Infinity Gem, which is again different to his origin in the comics. So he has the emotional capacity to like go through things and like work things out the way closer to what a human could do versus the one in the comics, which is very much a synthezoid created by Hank Pym and with it using a control chip and memories, but no emotions.
Yeah. And we also talked about him potentially being a vessel for Ultron, still on the table.
Still on the table.
That's right here. Ultron, wherever he is in the internet, knows that this happened.
Though I do want to say, I thought it was hilarious how many people in our live stream did not like that theory at all. They're like, why would we bring I almost said Ultron back. Voltron's a totally different fandom. But Like, why would they bring Ultron back? We already dealt with that villain. Well, he exists in the cloud. They could bring him back anytime. There's
Vision already died a bunch.
yeah, and again, yeah, Vision has died a bunch. They're bringing Zemo back. Like, yeah, he didn't die, but like neither did Ultron technically.
Ultron's
So
never really gone.
just saying. I enjoyed that a lot of people just did not like that idea, but I kind of like it, especially because it would mirror comics a lot.
Yeah. And it would be interesting because even from Age of Ultron, they've progressed so much with CG and everything that I can't imagine what sort of cool thing they would work out for like, okay, this is what Ultron looks like now.
Totally. And I'm all for James Spader coming back to voice him again because that was like the creepiest, most perfect Ultron voice ever.
Did you
Side
know
note, random thing about me, I was afraid of James Spader as a kid.
from what?
From like he always played like the bad guy or like the mean kid in like a bunch of 80s movies, like specifically in Pretty in Pink. I was afraid of him in Pretty in Pink.
That's hilarious.
And then like he was a bad guy in a few other things, like also in Wolf, like when Wolf came out and like he was the bad guy in Wolf, like terrified of James Spader for a long time. So the fact that he voiced Ultron,
Yeah,
really worked for me.
and he was in a mocap suit. And have you seen where the actors talk about like they would forget their lines and stuff just because they were so terrified of James Spader?
No, I need to see that.
They've talked about it. I don't know if there's actually any clips, but it's just like he's so intimidating as an actor. He was being completely terrifying playing this robot. Like they were genuinely like being afraid of him.
That makes it worse for me. And actually kind of, well, it kind of justifies my feelings as a kid.
We catch up with Monica now, and she is stuck with Pietro in his man cave, and she realizes because she starts going through his stuff that he's not it's his house. They thought it was Agatha's.
Mm-hmm.
His name is Ralph Boner, which is a nod to Growing Pains.
Yeah.
There's a character named Boner.
Mm-hmm.
And he's an actor because he has headshots, which I guess some people didn't realize that's what those were.
Oh yeah.
I saw some like, why would you have a picture of yourself with your name under it?
Yeah.
Those are how actors get jobs.
Yeah, all actors have those. I think I still have them from when I used to be an actor and audition. I think I still have some.
So it's very normal.
It's very normal.
She uses her
Sorry, I'm like laughing at like what that is super weird. Like
unless
super
you know.
weird. So if you don't know, like I knew, so I just normalized it. But that is a super weird thing to have in your house if you don't know what it is. Like in case you forget who you are.
Just in case. And there's also like, if you do have those in your house, you usually have a huge stack of them.
So huge stack of them.
Giant stack.
And they all have your resume on the back too. So it's like everything you've ever done and special skills you have in case you need to know all of this about yourself at a moment's notice.
Anytime you can remember whether or not you can drive a car.
Anyway.
So Monica uses her new powers to see the energy that is how Agatha controls Ralph, and it is the necklace that he's worn in every single episode. Mm-hmm. So she breaks it, and he goes back to being a normal human being, as far as we can tell. That's really, we don't see him again after that in the episode. So we'll see how that, if they ever have him come back or do anything. Once Monica is out, she goes to the town square to help with the fighting. She helps Billy and Tommy fight. Their fight that they have right before she gets there against the army is great. There actually is a nod to Fox's Quicksilver because Tommy takes the hat and the sunglasses off the guys when he's using his super speed, which I thought was adorable.
So cute.
And then
loved Billy stopping the one bullet.
Yes, and Billy stopped one bullet. Monica blocked all the other ones with her energy abilities. I like how her eyes are changing based on which energy she's using. That's very
Yeah, I like that too.
so, but the reason that she had to jump in front of them and take a bullet is because everybody's favorite monster, Hayward, is just gonna shoot at the
kid.
children.
He's unloading his gun on children. What is wrong with him?
Everything.
I was like,
and
are you serious?
Yeah, I know a lot of people did want him to end up being someone more like a Mephisto or whatever, some sort of.
He's a perfectly great villain on his own.
Yeah, shooting at children is the worst thing you can do.
Yeah.
So he is a very good villain all by himself, and the best part is he doesn't die. So I think he'll be back at some point.
I think he'll be back too.
I
think we might get our anti-soup team up.
Yeah, I'm really
lesser villain anti-soup guys. Potentially, you know who else doesn't like superheroes? Ultron.
Ultron doesn't like people at all.
Ultron doesn't like anybody, but yeah.
And once Hayward realizes that he was shooting at children, he tries to run away, and Darcy shows up just in time to hit him with the truck. He goes to jail.
That was like my one minor victory in this. I had very few like predictions come true for this. The ones that were true were mostly yours, but I was like, it's gonna be Darcy that takes him out.
Yeah, that one's great.
That was my one. Yeah, I'll take it.
And then when we caught back up with Jimmy, he told Hayward that this would happen, that he was going to go to jail and be in a lot of trouble. And Hayward's like, no one can prove there's two visions, blah, blah, blah. And Jimmy uses sleight of hand to steal a phone. And then the breaking the handcuffs, break out of the handcuffs magic. So his magic skills.
Magic is coming in handy.
I like how he said flourish when he took the handcuffs off.
Yeah.
But he was able to get the FBI there within an hour.
Yeah.
Which is great.
It also makes me realize that like he's a good agent, like outside of just his association with, you know, Ant-Man, and that like he's clear, because I would say that in the FBI, if someone says like, hey, we have a situation, can you be here within the hour without any other explanation? He got like a whole team there within an hour. He's clearly trusted within the Bureau.
Yeah. And I believe in the first end credit scene, he had received a promotion of some kind.
Yeah.
Get me closer to that Jimmy Woo show.
I was like, whatever that Jimmy Woo show is, like, let's make this happen. I like that I said it like it's already been announced. Fans just really want it, including these two fans who are on this show right now.
Yes.
So bring on the Jimmy Woo show.
So this is sort of where everyone is as things come to the end fight between Wanda and Agatha. We're all in the town square, basically. And you see Wanda intentionally missing with her magic a couple times, and Agatha even kind of reacts to it, but she is hitting her most of the times, and I believe those were when she was putting up the runes.
Yeah, I believe that too.
So yeah, Wanda does a trick on Agatha. She takes all her magic back, and it looked like a lot of Agatha's too that she took into her.
Yeah, she took a lot of purple as well as the red.
And she says, like, great, I don't need you to tell me who I am. Got our new outfit, and it's the best. It is my favorite superhero look in the MCU now.
It's mine too. I'm trying not to cry, honestly, because it was so incredibly perfect for everything that she is, the Nexus being she's about to become, or that I guess she already is, but like the Nexus being we're about to see. It's perfect because, you know, like it goes so well with everything that the Scarlet Witch is and represents moving forward. I'm seriously trying not to cry because like I had to watch that scene a few times because I just was crying and my glasses were fogging up. It's beautiful. If and I'm gonna do like a personal plug right now because like if you are a costumer and you want to make that for me, I will pay you lots of money for it because I need that costume for sure.
This isn't going to help your crying. You're trying not to cry. But did you notice that the top design, like the very middle part of the cutout and the collar is the Mind Stone shape? Yeah.
I did not notice that. Are you serious?
Yeah. Yeah, it has that nice like cutout detail around the neckline, and right in the middle is the shape of the Mind Stone.
That's so okay. I'm really trying, like, because I know that there's a part in this episode I'm going to definitely cry.
Yeah.
I was trying not to cry until then. See what I mean, though, guys? You can't be afraid of making me cry. I always cry.
Also, I'm not like laughing at Susan.
She like takes back her power and gets this like most beautiful costume. But then the best part is like after that. So just keep going because she's so like gentle and strong. It's like it's such a great character. I'm not gonna cry anymore. Okay, seriously.
So she reunites with her family, and Vision says something like, everyone's going to be okay in Westview, but not for us. And she says, no, not for us. The idea, or well, not even the idea, but like we have been watching her process her grief, and we have been watching her go through the 5 stages of grief. So here is acceptance. She knows this isn't real. She knows she can't keep doing it. And she seems very, while still sad, she does seem at peace with that decision. She doesn't seem like she's completely breaking apart anymore.
No.
So she starts to take down the hex.
Oh. Yeah. And we learned earlier in the episode, I think we didn't mention this, that Agatha points out that her family is connected to the hex. Like
Right.
she intertwined the spell, and you can't change a spell once the spell has been cast. So there's nothing she can do about her family being directly attached to the hex magic that she created.
Yeah, I did kind of, I breezed over the part where she let everyone out of Westview. She freed the town, and then closed it up. Yeah. So
but this allowed me to like catch up on the tears because this is the part where I'm just like gonna freaking lose it for the rest of the episode. So
yeah, she did have that confrontation with the townspeople once Agatha cut them loose and found out that she was hurting them, that they could feel her grief, they have her nightmares. Like, I can't imagine how awful that is. And she does that choking thing, not on purpose. She just wants everyone to stop, and realizes her mistake, undoes it, opens the hex. And I'm guessing that all the normal townspeople just booked it out of the openings before the rest of the battle continued.
Yeah, that's what I think so too. And then that's also when Hayward and his team got in.
Yeah.
And then we're back to Billy and Tommy fighting them, Monica helping. You guys are all caught up now.
So she starts taking down the hex for real, knowing that Vision and the twins won't exist anymore once it's all the way down. And they go home because it's kind of a slow process. It's not all at once. It's like rewinding almost.
Yeah.
And they say goodbye to the twins. They just tuck them into bed.
Thank you for letting me be your mom.
Yeah, it's very, very sweet. We don't have to watch whatever happens to them, which ends up being interesting for several reasons later. So then her and Vision go down in the living room and they say goodbye to each other. Yeah, this is where Susan's gonna lose it. And before he goes, Vision wants to know what he is. And Wanda tells him that He's the part of the Mind Stone that lives in her. He's her hope, her grief, her sadness. Yeah, and her love.
My cat is sitting on my lap too, and I'm crying all over him. He just keeps like looking at me like I'm a crazy person. But this is exactly how I watched the episode. I just cried all over him. Anyway.
And then Vision says that they've said goodbye before, and it stands to reason that they'll say hello again, and like he wonders what he might be next.
Yeah.
So
he goes through like everything that he was like.
Yeah. Voice without a body. Yeah. The Jarvis.
And a memory made real.
Memory made real. So sweet. And
he gives that amazing nod to the comics where he cried one tear.
Yeah. And then he disappears.
This is why I didn't wear makeup for this episode. I didn't. I only colored in my eyebrows.
Yeah. He disappears, and I think one of the biggest, like, loveliest things about it was that it was so peaceful, and oh, now I'm getting a little emotional. It was so peaceful between the two of them, and there was so much love there because they finally got the version of Vision going away on their own terms. She didn't have to get rid of him in time to save the universe. He wasn't coming back just to be destroyed again and killed. It was the two of them actually getting to say goodbye and let go.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's back in the empty lot. And she walks through the town. Everyone hates her. Which, yeah, that's rough. But Monica doesn't. And they get to have a nice moment where they say goodbye to each other.
They'll never know what you gave up for them.
Yeah. And that she would have done the same thing if she could.
I mean, I totally get it. I probably would do the same thing.
Yeah. So that is Wanda flies away. And now her costume has a dope cape on top of it. Incredible.
Good.
I already loved it, and then she added a cape and a hood, and I was like, all right.
Yeah. I also want the cape and the hood.
So we have 2 end credit scenes. One amid, which is the cleanup of Westview. Jimmy is in charge of things. Darcy already left. And
Darcy was like,
yeah. And Monica is taken into the theater where we find out there are indeed Skrulls among them, as the agent who escorted her is a Skrull, and she lets her know that a friend sent her and she is wanted in space. So that is almost 100%. I can't imagine who else would it be. There's Nick Fury. Sure yeah, it's Fury. Fury's calling her up like he said he would.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, and then we get our final scene, which is Wanda is in this cabin by a mountain, which is either a reference to or is Mount Wundagore, which is the origin of her powers in the comic. That's where everything happened. And she's got like a little cabin. She's having some tea or something, just chilling. And we keep going to the back. And we see that she is astrally learning, like Doctor Strange did in Doctor Strange, while she does other stuff. He was sleeping. She's actually up, walking around, doing stuff.
Well, Agatha says she's strong. She's stronger than the Sorcerer Supreme.
She did. And we get a music cue that is a version of Doctor Strange's theme. So, as we know, this goes into Multiverse of Madness. So there is that setup. Wanda sitting learning the Darkhold, like I guess cover to cover, probably not great.
Probably not great, especially because she has villainous tendencies.
Yeah, that book is full of bad things. And then we hear Billy and Tommy call for her from somewhere.
Yeah. So did
Did
she
they,
save them? Did she
did,
talk to them?
did she put them away for later, put them somewhere else?
Is she hearing different versions of them from a different universe?
Hmm, one of
Are
them.
they dead and she is talking to the dead? Because that's another option as well.
We've talked before how in the comics they are made of pieces of Mephisto's soul, and she may have had to create them. She may have had to borrow something from someone else, Mephisto or not.
Mhm.
So it could be that they exist wherever that is, that they didn't fully
Yeah.
disappear.
And that there are pieces of them somewhere calling to her.
Calling to her. And then I do want to mention that Matt Shackman, the director, did an interview where he talked about a cut scene that they had to cut because it didn't fit with the flow of the final episode, but they did film it. It's just not in the episode. But there was a scene where Tommy, Billy, Ralph, and Monica go into Agatha's basement to try and steal the Darkhold, and Senior Scratchy shows up, and
The
they're like,
rabbit.
"Oh,
The rabbit, guys.
the rabbit, yeah." And they're like, "Oh, it's Senior Scratchy. He's so cute." And then he transforms into a demon, and they have to fight him.
That's amazing.
Yes, and Matt
I
Chapman.
really want to see this scene. I hope that they put it together for maybe some sort of I know there's a WandaVision special that comes out on Friday on Disney Plus, but that's a behind the scenes. But I really hope they do like this full scene maybe somewhere at some point.
Yeah, I would love to see it. Yeah, and Matt Shackman said like he turns into a demon because he is like Agatha's familiar, so he was her familiar. Yeah. Okay, and that is the episode.
Now we should take questions that'll probably also make me cry.
Oh boy. Okay. See. So, question from I am Pain 1618. How Wanda make sure that Agatha didn't wake up when she dismantled the hex? And we did.
Oh. That's a great question.
It is a great question. We didn't talk about that yet. It's what happens when we don't do the beat by beat breakdown. Skip stuff. So she turned Agatha back into the character that she chose, the nosy neighbor, and she told her that you live here now, Westview's your home. And I think that since she did it while Agatha was powerless, just because the hex is down, I think Agatha's stuck.
I think she
I
is.
don't think.
Also, I defer back to Wanda being one of the most powerful beings in the Marvel universe. She can overpower Agatha, no problem. And
Yeah.
she cast the spell. What? Yeah, and like Tab just mentioned, she cast the spell while Agatha was powerless. So, yeah, I think that she's just stuck that way, and it wasn't. And the whole reason that the boys and Vision were attached to the hex was because when Wanda cast the spell for them, she didn't know what she was doing. She wasn't like Wanda's learning as she goes, and Agatha inadvertently taught her a trick that was then used against her. So she probably, when she cast that spell, at that point, Agatha had also told her about the boys and Vision being attached to the hex. So she probably didn't cast the spell attaching it to the hex. That's another thing that I just assumed, like,
Yeah.
and once a spell is cast, it can't be changed. So she is not attached to the hex. She just is now stuck as a nosy neighbor in Westview.
Yep. And Catherine Hahn really nailing doing the voice and the facial motions of the character, but her eyes are screaming.
Yeah. Yeah. She's such a good actress.
Yeah.
So brilliant. So yeah, I just assumed that Wanda learned a couple things from Agatha throughout that fight and the episode before, one about the runes and then two about the attaching of the spell to something else. And so she just made sure to use both of those things.
Yeah. Okay. Crimson Ash 91. Do you think we'll get Chthon or Mephisto, maybe both, in Multiverse of Madness? Great question. Wanda hanging out with the book Chthon wrote. Like, we might be building up to a thing with him.
Yeah, I know a couple people who really want him over Mephisto.
Oh, really? He
Yeah,
is fun.
he's fun for sure. I hate that I would have to say his name a bunch because like I can't. So, but no, at this point I think anything's possible and on the table because we didn't get that. One of the things that people were like upset about is that we didn't get the reveal of some other bigger bad like the Thanos smile that we got at the end of the Avengers movie or anything like that. Like, but I think we kind of did. I
We kind of did too. I think it was Wanda
think it's
with
Wanda
all
and
her magic everywhere, reading the Book of the
being
Damned.
astral projecting, hearing her kids, and being alerted.
Yeah.
Like that's the hint, guys. So yeah, we could get Mephisto if they're following the protocol of the kids being pieces of his soul. We could still get Nightmare. Because we've been introduced to like a nightmare reality that Wanda can create. And is she going into Nightmare's universe when she does that? Like
Oh,
multiverse of madness, this could all be on the table. We don't know what they're doing at this point, and I am here for whatever it is.
yeah. And if you're hungry for cameos, I think you're gonna get so many in Multiverse of Madness. So just don't worry about it.
Yeah,
It'll happen.
yeah, for sure. And I just between questions, I just want to say something because like in every single episode I've talked about a Doctor Strange cameo. Honestly, I liked this ending without him better because the whole thing that they've set up in WandaVision was her working through her trauma and her grief. And to have someone else come and help her take it down would have lessened the journey that she went through. She had to take it down herself. There was no other option. So
Yeah.
for everyone who's been DMing me and asking me about like like if I'm upset about Doctor Strange, like no, because she needed to do this herself. She needed to say bye to Vision herself. She needed to undo what she did and walk through her own trauma in order to close that chapter and move forward. That's how she was able to step into the power of the Scarlet Witch was I know who I am.
Yeah.
That's so much more powerful coming from herself as opposed to coming from someone else like taking the hex down for her or telling her that she's using too much magic. Like, no, that was not the proper way to end that show.
Mm-mm. I am, because I love the way it ended. I'm really curious what Doctor Strange is up to though, because this is two times in a row, and it does kind of overlap. Far From Home overlaps a little bit with the beginning of WandaVision, and in that they specifically tell Peter that Doctor Strange is unavailable to help.
The only thing I can think of at that point,
But
that Loki has to happen at the same time too.
you think Loki's a priority? That would make sense. He's
Yeah,
already been upset about Loki before.
been upset about Loki before. Loki has been flagged by Doctor Strange before and trapped in falling in another reality, like in a pocket dimension or whatever. I think like for me the only reason that he is not around for this, is not around for Far From Home, is that the Loki show has to be happening simultaneously, and Loki's the priority.
I mean, it makes sense. Loki appears to be up to all sorts of stuff.
I know. So that to me that's my reasoning.
Yeah, that makes sense. Um, where's the one? Oh, okay. Oh, Crimson Ash again. Great questions. What do you think Fury and the Skrull are up to? Do you think we'll get Secret Invasion soon?
I don't think we're gonna get Secret Invasion the way it happens in the comics.
Nope. They are. I feel like with Captain Marvel, they were already like, we're not going to do this just because they can shapeshift that they're evil
Yeah.
storyline. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna get Secret Invasion that way. I think we're going to get um I think we're gonna get a bigger Skrull storyline, but I don't think it's gonna be Secret Invasion. And I'm hesitant to almost say what I think it might be. I think it might be like a flipped script where
Oh
they're
yeah, sure.
but also I'm curious if they're going to introduce the like radicalized faction of the Skrulls as well.
Yeah.
With the princess that got exiled and then was radicalized.
Yeah. I mean, I think the whole point of the Skrulls not being the bad guys in Captain Marvel was like, we're, you know, people.
Yeah.
We're not all one thing.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just I don't think we're gonna get Secret Invasion, at least not in the way that we as comic book fans would recognize it as Secret Invasion.
Yeah. Okay. And then Battle Panda 32. Hi, Julie.
I don't know who that is. Who's
Several
that girl?
questions. So we'll do a couple of these. Does White Vision have the ability to eventually have emotions? Yes.
Yes.
If he's like he is in the comics.
He can kind of choose that direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who was the FBI witness protection person? I think it was Ralph.
Oh, that's great. You know what's really funny is I just was like, I forgot about that. Oh my God, that'd be hilarious if it was Ralph.
When she says Ralph Boner and he says Boner and he laughs, I was like, this dude picked his witness protection name and he picked Boner because he thought it was funny.
And also, like, Ralph means barf.
Yeah.
His name is like Barf Erection.
Yeah. I think it was maybe him.
Oh,
I don't know if we'll get that one ever.
Yeah, that might be one of those ones that's lost to the ether.
And it also like it didn't matter. It's just how Jimmy found out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's really funny. I literally forgot about that plot point until now.
Some people still think it's the postman because of his like don't shoot the messenger thing that he was always saying. Sounds like someone who's afraid the mob is coming after him.
Fair.
Also.
I mean, yeah, but I actually agree. I don't think we're gonna get the answer to that one.
Yeah.
Because that one seems contained to the show. Unless we get a Jimmy Woo show, and in which case that we might. Who knows? We don't know.
And then Wanda learning to be separate but one with her Scarlet Witch within was a nice nod to Doctor Strange. I wonder if she took a detour to him to learn this.
I don't think so. And she doesn't need to.
Hey, also, like, if she showed up with the Darkhold, like, at the Sanctum and was like, hey, Doctor Strange, can you help me out with this book? He'd be like, what are you doing with that?
Like, I'm going to take that and put the protection magic back around it, and it's going to go back into the Ancient Ones collection where it was missing from before.
No book for you.
No book for you. Yeah, no, I don't think she showed him because he would have taken it away from her.
One of the reasons people thought that he was going to show up in WandaVision is that he was supposedly seen on set at some point.
Yeah.
And Susan and I talked about this before we started recording, but it's almost certainly because he was filming some stuff for Multiverse that maybe he goes and gets her or whatever in her cabin.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, that's just a matter of waiting a year and a half. I know
it's a year and a half, or is it a year?
Wait, isn't it like, oh no, it's like a year, because isn't it like May of 2022?
It changed so many
2022.
times.
Maybe it's February 2022. I don't remember. They pushed all the dates and then
I know. I'm looking now. I have them all on my calendar, but that's not helpful because I'd have to go through day by March 25th, 2020.
So like exactly a year from now. Yeah. We have to wait a year.
1 year. At least it won't be, hopefully, as bad as the wait was for Endgame, which was the worst movie wait of my life.
Yeah, that was the worst year ever.
I kept getting really paranoid that I was going to die in a freak accident and not see it.
I just was like, how would you, why did you do this to us? Why couldn't it be like 6 months?
Yeah, and they had to change so much. Like, I think wasn't originally Spider-Man 3 going to close out this phase,
I don't remember.
or Doctor Strange was. I can't remember. I don't remember the original order of things, but I know they're all in a different order now. But we'll see Spider-Man and whatever is going on there this year at Christmas.
I know.
Whatever he's up to that may or may not be multiverse related.
My friend Jen wanted to know where we got our matching pajamas.
Which ones?
Yeah, that's what I had to ask her too. I was like, it's like the Marvel ones or the Grogu ones? And then she was like, Grogu. And I was like, oh, Kohl's. And the
those are from Kohl's.
From Amazon, in case you're wondering. So,
If you're lucky, you'll order one pair from Kohl's and they'll just send you a huge box of them that you won't know what to do with.
That's amazing. Well, that's what we have for the WandaVision finale, and I guess all of WandaVision. That's so sad. But we'll be back talking about Scarlet Witch. I'm sure she'll intertwine throughout the MCU moving forward. And when we do our backtrack, we'll get to talk about Wanda again and Vision in the MCU prior. But coming up for us is Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So like we did with WandaVision, we'll do next week a before the show starts, like predictions, what we think it's about based on like the trailer. And then we'll go into weekly episodes of Falcon and the Winter Soldier for how many episodes is it? Do you know?
6, I want to say.
Okay. So less than WandaVision. Really?
I think it's less episodes, but longer episodes.
Gotcha. Are you serious right now? You're just like taking a bath. Yep, like you do. Anyway. Okay, so we will see you next week to talk about Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Once again, I'm Susan.
I'm Tab.
And we are MCU Explained. All of our social media information is in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe to our channel and tell your friends about it. Share as often as you can because sharing is caring, and we are a caring and explaining channel. So thank you guys again so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.